Hi everyone. Last class we discussed about tissues. Our second chapter, tissues. And we start plant tissue. Yes. And we completed meristematic tissue. Okay. So today we discuss about the next topic, permanent tissues. Okay. So last class we discussed about meristematic tissues. Yes, so meristematic tissues, which means they are active cells. They have the capacity to divide and multiply and form new cells. Yes, and we learn the different types of meristematic tissue according to their position, classified three categories or three types. Yes. So this meristematic tissue have the capacity to divide. So what happened? This meristematic tissues or tissues formed by meristematic tissue, which means this meristematic tissues or the tissues formed by meristematic tissues, later they lose their active or dividing capacity. Okay, once this meristematic tissue produce new cells, this new cells lose their what? Yes, dividing capacity. Okay, they take up a specific role. Okay, so they lose their dividing capacity and they take up a specific role. Okay, as a result, this meristematic tissue turn or form or change into a permanent tissue. Okay, this process of taking up a permanent shape, size and function is termed as differentiation. Okay, differentiation. So the term is very important, differentiation. Cells of meristematic tissue differentiate to form different types of permanent tissue. Okay, so cells of meristematic tissue differentiate to form what? Different types of permanent tissue. Okay, different types of permanent tissue. The cells of meristematic tissue differentiate to form different types of permanent tissue. Okay, permanent tissue classified into two types. The first one is simple permanent tissue and the second one is complex permanent tissue. Okay, first one is simple permanent tissue and the second one is complex permanent tissue. These are the two types of tissues or permanent tissues. First one is simple permanent tissue and the second one is complex permanent tissue. So today we learn about the simple permanent tissue. Okay, this simple permanent tissue again classified into three. The first one is parenchyma, okay, and the second one is collenchyma, and the third one is sclerenchyma. These are the three types of simple permanent tissue. Okay, so today we learn about the simple permanent tissues in detail: parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. First we move to parenchyma. Okay, so first we discuss about parenchyma. So when we take a CS which means cross section. Okay, cross section. So when we take a CS of a stem, we can see the majority of the part of that stem is filled with parenchymatous tissues. Okay, let's discuss about what are the features of parenchyma. Okay, parenchymatous tissues or cells. So this parenchymatous cells or tissues have very thin cell wall. Okay, very thin cell wall. So the first important feature, thin cell wall. We know, now we discuss about the plant tissue. Okay, plant tissue. So plant tissue have a outermost protective layer called cell wall. Okay, so here in the case of parenchymatous tissue, they have a outermost thin cell wall, just made up of thin cell wall. Okay, and they are living cells or live cells. Okay, they are live cells. Okay, and we know this parenchymatous cells, when we take each and every cells of parenchymatous tissue, we can see here small space are there. Okay, so they are loosely packed cells. Okay, they are loosely packed cells. Okay, loosely packed cells. And the another feature of these tissues, we can see the cells have space in between these two. We can see space. So that's why we call loosely packed. The space are called intercellular space. So in between the parenchymatous cells, they have intercellular space. So large intercellular space are present. Intercellular space. So this parenchymatous tissues have large intercellular space. Okay, so these are the main features of this parenchymatous tissue. So the first one is parenchymatous tissues have thin cell wall, very thin cell wall, and they are live cells or living cells, and they are loosely packed, not tight packing, loosely packed, because they have large intercellular space in between. Okay, and let's move to the function of parenchymatous tissue. The main function of the parenchymatous tissue are, they are supportive cells. Okay, they are supportive cells, and which helps to store the food materials. Okay, which helps to store or stores food. They helps to store food. Okay, so these parenchymatous cells are supportive cells. They support the stem or leaves or any part of the plant. Okay, flowers, anywhere we can see this parenchymatous tissues. Okay, so they are supportive cells and helps to store food, materials, minerals like that. Okay, and the another function of this parenchymatous tissue, for example, some of the parenchymatous tissues contain chlorophyll pigment. Okay, some of the parenchymatous tissue contain chlorophyll pigment. So they act as a, we know the main function of chlorophyll pigment, which means they absorb the sunlight, which helps to photosynthesis process. Yes, we know because of the presence of this chlorophyll pigment, only a plant can prepare their own food. That process is called photosynthesis. So some of the parenchymatous tissue, they contain chlorophyll pigment. Chlorophyll pigment. Okay, chlorophyll pigment. Okay. So this chlorophyll pigment contained parenchymatous tissues are called schlerenchyma. Okay, chlorophyll contained parenchymatous tissues are called schlerenchyma. Schlerenchyma. So we know because of the presence of this chloroplast or chlorophyll pigment, this schlerenchyma which helps to photosynthesis process. Okay, photosynthesis process. Okay, so the another important function of this parenchymatous tissues are which helps to photosynthesis because of the presence of chlorophyll pigment. Okay, in aquatic plants which means water plants. Okay, in aquatic plants the parenchyma is filled with air. So air cavities are seen in the case of parenchyma. Okay, so this parenchymatous tissues are filled with air in aquatic plants. So in aquatic plants the parenchymatous tissues are filled with air. This type of parenchyma is called aerenchyma. This is very simple. Aerenchyma. It's very simple to remember because air filled parenchyma are called aerenchyma, which present only in aquatic plants. Okay, so which helps to buoyancy of the plant, which means which helps to float, to help to float in the water. So buoyancy of the plant, which means which helps to buoyancy for the floating of this plant. Okay, the buoyancy or the aerenchyma which helps to buoyancy, which means it helps to float in the water. Okay, we know the water plants are float or see in the surface of the water because of the presence of this aerenchyma, which means the parenchyma is filled with, or the parenchyma is filled with air, which helps to buoyancy of the plant or helps to float. Okay, so these are the common function of this parenchyma. The parenchyma of stems and root also store nutrients and water. Okay, they store nutrients, and water. They store nutrients and water. So these are the main functions of this parenchymatous tissue. So what are the features of this parenchyma? Parenchymatous tissue or parenchyma tissues have very thin cell wall. Okay, and they are leaf cells or they are living cells. Okay, and they are loosely packed, the cells we can see in the case of parenchyma, and large intercellular spaces are present. Okay, large intercellular space are present in between the cell, and these are the common functions of parenchyma. Okay, the second type of permanent tissue or simple permanent tissue is collenchyma. Okay, second one, collenchyma. Okay, so this collenchymatous tissue main features are, first one, They have what? Small intercellular space, small or very little intercellular space. They are living cells like parenchyma, living cells. Okay, and their corners, the cells corners are thickened. Okay, cell corners are thickness, or corners have thickness. Okay, four corners have thickness. Okay, the main function of this collenchyma are main function, which means they helps to what? They helps to bending of the plants. When you observe your surroundings, if wind blows, what happens? That time plants are, yes, bending. Yes. So this bending is possible without breaking because of the presence of this collenchyma. So which helps to bending of plants. Bending of plants. And also it is a mechanic, it provide a mechanical support. Provide a mechanical support. It provide mechanical support. Okay, and it's mainly seen below the epidermis. Okay, the same below the epidermis. Epidermis we will discuss our coming classes. Okay, next we learn about the last simple permanent tissue, sclerenchyma. Okay, sclerenchymatous tissues. So the sclerenchymatous tissues are very long and narrow tissues. Long and narrow tissues. So this is the CS, cross section. When we take a LS, longitudinal section, it is very long and narrow cells. Okay, and this have thick cell wall, comparatively very thick cell wall we can see here. Okay, and in between this cells we can see which is filled with what? Lignin substance. Okay, it is a chemical substance, lignin. So lignin substance. So because of this lignin substance, the cell walls become thick, okay, or hard. So this lignin substance is a chemical substance which act like a cement, and these are dead tissues or dead cells. Okay, the sclerenchymatous cells are made up of dead cells, and there is no any intercellular space. So intercellular space are absent in the case of sclerenchyma. These are the common features of sclerenchyma. So next one, the function. Okay, it makes the plant hard and stiff. Okay, it makes the plant hard and stiff, and it present mainly the husk of coconut husk. Okay, and vein of leaves and hard covering of seeds and nuts. Hard covering of seeds and nuts. It provides strength to the plants. So that's why it is called, it's a mechanical tissue. It provides a mechanical support. Okay. So this is very important. So the sclerenchymatous tissues are dead cells, not a living cells, but the collenchyma and parenchyma are living cells. Okay, and from this chapter mainly, or from this topic mainly asked the question, this is a dead tissue. Remember, this is a dead tissue. Okay, so what are the, or which cells or which tissue is a dead tissue. So sclerenchymatous tissues are dead tissue, and the side of the the cell wall is thickened, additionally thickened by a chemical substance called lignin. Okay, lignin, because of the presence of or the addition of this lignin substance, it makes the plant hard and stiff. Okay, and there is no any intercellular space, no intercellular space. Okay, it's tightly packed. Okay, tightly packed, and this is commonly seen the husk of coconut. So the husk of coconut dash tissues are present, sclerenchymatous tissues. Okay, and hard covering of seeds and nuts, which is made up of sclerenchymatous tissue, and this mainly provides strength to plant, or that's why it is called mechanical tissue, or it provides mechanical support to the plants. Okay, so today we learn about three types of simple permanent tissue. Okay, the first one is what parenchymatous tissue, second one is collenchymatous tissue, and the third one is sclerenchymatous tissues. Okay, so please study. Thank you. Have a nice day.